So let's get going, and where better to start with a bit of strategy. I'm mindful of the fact that the first one of these we did was in 2018, and at that time, on every seat on the first day, we put a flyer, an MOD flyer, to effectively say, this is where we think we're going with space. And just 4 years later, look what's been achieved. Quite incredible. We have a command. We're just on the verge of doing some UK launch. The industry is thriving. So really quite a speedy getting to this state, which is absolutely fantastic. And instrumental in that activity is our first speaker. I don't think that Harv would require much introduction to this audience, but nevertheless, I'm going to do it anyway. Distinguished Harrier pilot, extensive combat experience. Harv has held command at every single level. Significant background in various different programs, including F-35, where Harv and I had I had the pleasure of working with Harv. And he is now responsible for, and I have to write it down because it's so long, defense space strategy, policy, capability planning, cross-government and international coherency. So not much in the box there. I can't think of anybody better to start the conference. It is a great pleasure to be able to welcome Harv to the stage. Sir, the stage is yours.
Well, good morning, everyone. Minister, and I think the Minister's on his way. There's seemingly a state opening of Parliament today, it would appear. Ma'am, sirs, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by adding my own personal welcome to the UK's Defence Space Conference 2022. It's absolutely fantastic to see such a packed room here. The last time we did one of these, it was mostly virtual. And I remember I was sat in my study at home, having just recently moved house, and I think I was being accosted by the dog for most of the conference, so he's not here today. You'll be pleased to know. We are also joined by hundreds of guests virtually, so we have taken forward the hybrid approach from all across the globe, and undoubtedly there'll be many others dipping in and out as we go over the next couple of days. And as Roberto said, it is a very interesting and hopefully useful agenda. I'd like to start by offering a huge thank you to Roberto and the Air and Space Power Association for getting us to the start line in good order. We now have a couple of days to go in terms of execution. As ever, it's the final few days as you run up to conferences such as this where you really do earn your money. And to my own team, who have toiled quite relentlessly over the last couple of weeks and months, particularly Commander Dave Sandy, who I noticed just sneaked back in again and is sat down here. Thank you, Dave, and I do mean that. Thank you for your personal commitment to this project. Not easy when you have a boss who about a month ago went, I think we should change all of this and do it a different way. So you stood up to that challenge very well. So thank you very much indeed, in amongst doing the day job. Hopefully you'll see that we've put together a relevant, varied, thought-provoking and a challenging agenda. I was very keen that this wasn't just another space conference. And many of you will have heard quite recently, maybe me comment publicly, that since being in this Director Space role, it's been about 2 years now. It does seem to me, I've been pretty amazed at how many space conferences there are. We seem to be on this conference merry-go-round, or it has felt that for me. Certainly I can see Rebecca Everton, my counterpart and good friend from the business department, nodding her head sagely there. We seem to kind of talk to the same people about the same things, and we just vary the location. So I was trying to change today and to really try to get after the so what of space. Why are we putting all of this effort in, as Roberto described earlier? Why are we spending all of these new amounts of public money? What's the to what end? So hence the title of our conference, Working Together to Operationalise Space. So from ministers to service chiefs, scientists to leaders of the space industry, we aim to use this agenda over the next 2 days and tonight's keynote at the gala dinner thank you, Anu, for volunteering. I think you volunteered, maybe, to speak to us tonight, to expose the challenges associated with operationalising the space domain, alongside the exponential benefits that can be gained if and when this is achieved. I'm also particularly excited to highlight that Mr. Vladimir Yusov, the former chairman of the Ukrainian Space Agency, has agreed to share his views through the lens of the ongoing war in his homeland. I know many of us are following that very closely. Here we are seeing this whole thing brought to life and in stark relief, the importance of space, particularly commercial space, in terms of debunking Russia's attempts at a disinformation campaign, to enabling armed remotely piloted vehicles to destroy high-end heavy armor and maritime assets. This is integrated warfare in its most raw sense, but nonetheless proving that by properly operationalising the space domain in an agile and manoeuvrous manner, even the most well-equipped adversary can be, quite literally, stopped in his tracks. Moreover, who would have thought that a single tweet by the Ukrainian Vice Prime Minister atting Elon Musk and asking for support from SpaceX's Starlink capability would result in a positive reply just a few hours later? Simple as that. There's agile acquisition for you in a digitally connected world. I was personally going to try this approach to see if I could get a new Tesla. Not quite sure that will have the same desired outcome. Many of you are aware of the journey that Roberto described earlier that we've been on within UK Defence over this last 2 years in terms of cohering our approach, and really cohering has been the big effort, and developing a new, much more ambitious defence space programme. Starting with a relatively blank sheet of paper, we've progressed at pace to publish the inaugural UK Defence Space Strategy, which is a subset of a new, broader national space strategy, which we co-authored alongside colleagues from across government in what I must say was a truly collaborative manner. And I do mean that. We've worked incredibly well together, and I'm hugely thankful to many of my colleagues here in the audience today. And it's great to see them here. I've already mentioned Rebecca from BEIS, and I know there are many others here, particularly from the UK Space Agency. And this really underscores our quest for an all-of-government approach where dual-use capabilities are the nirvana, and a national effort is being harnessed via our new National Space Board to ensure we properly implement our strategies in a manner that best supports the UK space sector. So for me, 2022 is the year to start turning good words and policy into tangible action. Last month, we declared initial operating capability with the new UK Space Command, and you'll hear much more about this later from the Commander, my hugely good friend, Air Vice Marshal Paul Godfrey, who I know is here, sat right in the middle. We also announced our Minerva 1A contract after only 6 months of effort, which will see us launch our first new satellite next year, to begin what will form the digital backbone of our much larger Astari program, which I know many of you are aware of, a multi-sensor, multi-spectral constellation of small satellites in LEO, providing real-time intelligence at what we call the speed of relevance, define, exploiting AI and ML on orbit and pushing product directly to the decision maker, be that a senior commander or a junior tactical operator. Everyone here intimately understands the criticality of the space domain, not just to defence, but frankly to everyday life in a modern information-driven world. But we also witness daily the fact that space is now much more overtly and aggressively contested, whilst becoming exponentially more congested. It is indeed a complex challenge. That's the main thing I've learned in 2 years. And as the preeminent US Space Force will consistently tell you, space is hard, but it's definitely a prize worth pursuing. Because as we will hear later from General Dickinson, commander of US Space Command, there is never a day without space. So we need to be on this fast-moving train or risk being left standing at the last generation station. Hopefully this is enough to whet your appetite for the next 2 days. Beyond our brilliant keynote speakers, you'll see from the agenda that we've purposely included multiple panel sessions on a variety of themes, from how best to use commercial space to international collaboration. Tomorrow we shift our sights slightly to discuss next-gen capabilities and the fundamental importance of innovation and S&T in terms of informing our future capability journey. And throughout, please, please, we really do want to hear from you. There is a vast array of experience and understanding just sat in this room, and I'm sure that's emulated online. I can see many faces that I have learned lots from over the next 2 years, so please do get engaged. Don't be shy. Get involved, challenge the presenters, ask questions, and share your views.